Hi, everybody, and welcome to I Like Cruise Ships, the YouTube channel, and welcome to a live chat with me, Russell, coming to you live from my kitchen in Moscow, Russia. Now, I have a few different setups here, so I'm just trying to figure out which is better. The camera over here. It's right in front of me, but I have screens on either side. And I'm just sort of curious about the volume as well. So if you are in the chat, please just let me know how it's coming across, and we'll chat away about cruise ships. So how's everybody going? Possibly a lot of people are going to watch this on replay because they probably won't catch the live because I've done this without a schedule, so it's very spontaneous. Yeah, I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm currently in Moscow, Russia. It is very cold. Actually, it's not that cold today, but it has been cold. If this shows up correctly, let me just get a light here. We're on -4 outside, so it's not that bad. And 26 is in the room. So now I do actually have a minimum and a maximum here. Now, if you want to know how cold it does get here, that's -22.9. That's outside the balcony of our apartment here. And then the coldest it's been in the actual kitchen here has been 13.5. So we're currently on 26, which is about the normal temperature with the window closed. We have double glazing here, so it's nice and warm in here. We've got central heating right behind the computer screen here. So actually sometimes with the kitchen door closed, the rest of the apartment, it gets very warm. So I have to open the window every now and again, just let that cold air in. It's actually been snowing pretty much all day today as well. So we did go out for a little while earlier on. It's currently 6:30 p.m. by the way, here in Moscow. I do watch a lot of people's live chats, by the way. And I'm just curious exactly the point where the camera is so that I can see the chat over here. I don't really need to see myself over here, so it's a little bit difficult. I just want to say hi. We've got a few people already here. So Vince Soletti, I know you're a long-time watcher of the channel, and I know that you post on a lot of the videos that I put on the channel. So thanks very much. I'm pretty sure you're a subscriber as well, I imagine. Michael Hooper seems to be going fine. Thanks, Michael. I'm glad that it's coming across okay if you're here or you've left. Yeah, thanks. Kurt Desote, good evening from Belgium. Sounds okay. We're cruising on MSC Virtuosa, Arab Emirates, and Qatar next week. Oh, that's pretty cool. MSC, actually, funny enough, although I don't really talk about the ships too much, which ones I've worked on, did do one contract on the MSC Orchestra quite a few years ago now. I was working for Dufry, which is the duty-free company that operate on a few cruise lines, and they have a lot of airport shops around the world. And someone asked me to go and give them a hand on that ship. They'd just taken over the contract. MSC had their stores in-house, and then they moved to concessionaires. So I went and helped them operate their first sort of handover shops, I guess you'd call it. It was very different to coming off Carnival and Norwegian Cruise Line. MSC is obviously a European operated cruise line. They are Italian. The owner, Aponte, I don't know his first name, Aponte is his last name. His wife and family have got a very big say in how the cruise ships are built, how they're styled, how they're operated. And you definitely get a very European feel to the ships, and a very European, I guess, feeling, or ambience, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was very cool. The ship was beautiful, by the way. Very, very nice ship. If you come off a Carnival ship and then go on MSC, you know, there's such a difference in the I guess, architecture of the ship or the internal design of the ship. I'm looking at my camera and it's a little bit lagged. I wonder if you guys notice if it's lagged or not. Just let me know. Michael's in Texas. Oh, cool. So my last contract was on the Carnival Dream out of Galveston. And unfortunately in 2020, we're now up almost at 2 years since the shutdown in March, roughly, was when the first shutdown, I guess, happened. Yeah, I was on the horizon before Dream, but I basically flew home from Galveston back to Australia. So yeah, I love the seashell chocolates. I don't know the name of the chocolates. They're very famous Belgian chocolates. Goulet. So Kurt, if you maybe chocolates to you guys in Belgium, but I love them. They're pretty cool. Yeah, Texas. I've done quite a few contracts out of Galveston, and my very first ship, Houston, Texas, out of La Porte. I wonder if you know out of La Porte. Lucia Zamot, hello from New York. Oh, New York, nice place to cruise out of as well. Oh, so yeah, New York, and I noticed too, you get lots of snow there, and I'm kind of waiting here in Moscow for like crazy snow, but I guess I'm gonna have to go to the region somewhere to kind of get that big snowfall. In Moscow, it tends to snow for a day or two, then it stops for 3 or 4 or 5 days. Then it snows again. So yeah, today we had a nice all-day snowfall. I'm just looking out the window right here on literally, kind of kitchen. So Michael says he's cruising on the Carnival Breeze at the end of June. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Carnival Breeze, I did a contract on there. It was meant to be part of the inaugural team for Breeze, but they'd already kind of settled on the team that were going there, and then I went as the sort of the next contract, if you like. The liquor store where I was working is really neat. When you walk in, it's got the register in the middle, and it's got all of the shops set around, all the liquor and tobacco set in a kind of circular store when you walk in there, which is kind of cool. So get a chance to go and check out the liquor store on the Breeze. It's very cool. Kurt says they called zero chewing chocolates in Dutch in Doof. Is that Dutch? You spoke Belgium, isn't it Flemish in Belgium that you guys speak? I wonder. Yeah. So yeah, I love. Actually, I eat a lot of chocolate. European chocolate is a lot nicer tasting too, definitely compared to American chocolate. Sorry for everybody that likes their Hershey chocolate, and Cadbury's in America is really not Cadbury's like you get in Europe. So yeah, I buy a lot of Russian chocolate here, and it's very nice. A lot of European chocolate in the stores, especially now Christmas time. Everyone kind of gives each other gifts of kind of chocolates and gift set chocolates. Yeah, it was very cool. So yeah, I wonder if you guys have got any cruises booked, or if you have any questions. I'm not too sort of clued up on cruising in UAE or Qatar, but I've seen some pretty cool photos of the ships transiting from Europe over to the Middle East, and they're pretty cool. I'm imagining there's sort of some pretty neat overland tours that you can do there, and Dubai is pretty cool. I've only been through the airport there. I've not stayed there. I actually stayed there at the hotel airport. So I've never actually been there physically and stayed. Same with Qatar as well. I've flown a lot of times to and from ships through Qatar with Qatar Airways, of course. So yeah, I mean, of course, this is a little bit surprise chat or live chat. I see a couple of people did the voting there, so I'm not sure how I can see the voting. I've done the YouTube live stream rather than StreamYard. There's a couple of different options. And thanks for the thumbs up. I see 2 thumbs up. So yeah. If you have any questions, post away, please. If you are a follower of the channel, you know I've done some Q&A videos. Oops. Ooh, gosh. Yeah, I've done some Q&A videos recently. I'm going to film a few more of them in the next couple of days. I really kind of got into it when I first started, quite a few weeks ago. And then over Christmas and New Year, I kind of got a little bit lazy, unfortunately, and didn't. YouTube wants you to keep up that constant uploading, constant feeding the algorithm, as they call it. And sometimes you just don't want to film videos. I just don't know how some of these bigger content creators can keep doing it and doing it, because my goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers somehow, especially definitely this year. No question I'm going to hit the 10,000, but I don't know when. It's sort of a bit of a slow crawl this last 1,200 subscribers. So if you are a subscriber, thanks. I have a question about assigned dining times. Is that dining in a central location? So on Breeze, on Horizon, on most Carnival cruise ships, they've got two dining rooms, two what they call main dining rooms. There's usually a midship one, and there's an aft dining room. So I won't know the names of them on the Breeze. I can't remember my last ship's dining rooms, but so what they've done now is they've got assigned dining times where you can determine early seating or late seating. Or there's YTD or your time dining, YTD. So you'll have a choice depending on when you're able to do your checking in for your cruise. Hopefully you'll be able to choose one of those three options. So what the cruise lines have done now is they, years ago before they had your time dining, pretty much the entire ship was broken up into early or late seating, which would be either 6 or 6:15 or 8 or 8:15. I'm pretty sure they're still at those times. It was 6 or 6:15, 8 or 8:15. And then they slowly introduced this YTD, which was your time dining. So anytime between, I think it was 6 and 9:30, I believe. Excuse me. You could basically just walk in the dining room, and they basically put you in a designated seating area inside the dining room. This is going back a couple of years. We'll just talk about the early days of it. And then they slowly realized it became more and more popular. More and more people didn't, let's say, necessarily like the early or late seating and the assigned dining times. So they found that more people were kind of gradually heading over to the YTD or your time dining, which gave a lot more flexibility. So if it was a port day, for instance, you didn't have to kind of get back on board for that early seating. Maybe the ship's in port till 5 or 6 p.m. or 4:30 or 5, and then you've got that 6 o'clock dinner. You'd have to get back, get changed, get dressed, go to dinner, and there's always that big rush when you get back to the ship, get back on board, get showered and changed for dinner. So yeah, it says we've been assigned 6 o'clock. I think their YTD is 5:30 to 8:45. Yeah, they probably have tweaked it a little bit. I think they probably realized, I think when it was as late as 9 or 9:30, they realized that last seating, if the people walk in, so late at 9 or 9:30, it's probably an hour and a half dinner seating. So entrees, let's say soup, salads, main course, dessert. And then by the time the last person or last table has left the dining room, it's very late. And from that early initial opening to closing, there's a big gap. So yeah, just talking about with the YTD, what they've done now is the cruise lines or Carnival particularly, have set up one dining room as assigned dining, so early or late seating, and then one dining room as YTD or your time dining. Now, depending on how the Breeze have got it, there was a point where some of the ships just had basically the upper seating of the dining room as YTD and then the lower as assigned seating. Pretty much now they're trying to do one dining room only, YTD, and one dining room as assigned seating. So one thing, Michael, I'll just point out with the timing of the early dinner. So if you want to keep this sort of in mind, the early seating dinner will really maybe be a factor depending on your port times. So depending on what itinerary you're doing and what time your back on board is for the sailing from each port of call, like let's say Cozumel, Jamaica, okay, Grand Cayman ships aren't going to, but just as an example of that West Caribbean itinerary, that back on board time, if you are planning to have that full day off in the port, and then to get back on board, there might be a bit of a line at the last sort of half an hour or so, which is very typical. And then to get showered and changed, depending on how many's in your party, might be in one room. And then to get to dinner, and let's say get there 5 minutes early, for instance. With the assigned seating, they don't open the door early. They're pretty much on the clock, on the dot. The maitre d' or the assistant maitre d' of the dining room or the restaurant manager will have those doors closed. And then at that point, when they're ready, they'd open the doors and let in the first eating dinner. Pretty much where you would be assigned dining, you'd also be given a table number. So pretty much the first night, it's getting used to, and maybe on embarkation, getting used to where that table is. And then once you know where your table is when you walk in on other nights, you'd obviously walk almost straight into your table. You'd have that same waiter all through the cruise as well, so they'd get to know your kind of preferences, breads or waters or drinks and things like that. Pretty much every table has a head waiter, and they have an assistant waiter. So pretty much each table in the dining room has two different waiters that help, let's say, serve that table where you're sitting. So I definitely kind of just think about it, about that sort of port timing versus does the early seating suit you. Obviously, they've got the shows as well to work around. So the early and late seating, the main shows in the show lounge. Maybe you want to go to the comedy club. Maybe you want to go to the piano bar. Maybe deck parties. Obviously, they're mostly later in the evening. You don't have too many activities around that 6, 7, 8 o'clock time. And then show times tend to be, let's say, 7:30 and 9:30, depending on the ship you're on as well, the main theater shows. So you can do that early dinner and then still go to the shows, and it can all time up nicely. Years ago, it was basically early dinner goes to the late show. I can never get this right. And then the late dinner goes to the early show. I think it used to be very scripted, and the whole ship had that kind of time for their dining. That's it. And then basically from your dinner, you'd go to your show or vice versa. And then everything would time up beautifully. Even for the shops, for instance, we know that kind of traffic flow as well, coming to and from the theater, coming to and from the dining room. So there's basically a time frame that everybody kind of averages that they're having dinner. So you'd see that kind of flow of traffic coming out of the dining room, heading to the theaters, heading to maybe the lobby, maybe to the comedy club or wherever they're going to go for that night after dinner. So yeah, we have 8 till 2 in Yucatan, so that'd be Progreso, and around the same time in Cozumel. Cozumel's so early. So 8 to 2 for Progreso would give you plenty of time for 6 o'clock dinner, especially if you plan to have your kind of full port day and do kind of activities. Another thing too is if you're going to go on a sort of a kind of like an all-day hotel, like a beach day or like one of those all-you-can-eat and drink kind of day passes. When you get back to the ship, you do kind of slowly get more tired. So, getting back to the ship, getting dressed, going to dinner can be a bit of a strain, depending on who you're cruising with as well, like family members. So that might be kind of just a factor in. We've got 7 people watching, by the way. If you haven't caught the beginning of the live stream, I'm doing it from my kitchen in Moscow, Russia. And I'm answering questions in the chat. Michael's asked a pretty good question about YTD or assigned dining, just to explain the difference. And maybe he could find what will work best for him for his cruise. Michael, I hope that does answer your question. I don't work in the dining room, by the way. I've actually eaten in the dining room when I've gone on cruises myself. And obviously the other option you'd have also is the steakhouse, cucina and things like that. So you do have the supplementary dining as well. And of course, those sort of dining options are basically a booked dining time. So you basically make a booking. You could then obviously work around their opening and closing hours as well. So if you weren't planning to go to the dining room, you could then sort of figure out what time you'd like to go to dinner later in the evening, maybe, or not necessarily early. There is a lot of people, of course, who like to maximize their day in port. So by having early seating dinner, you would then basically, go to the earlier shows and go to bed early, I guess, to wake up the next day for the next port day as well. So I hope that kind of makes sense to you. 5 people watching, 6 people. So welcome to the chat, everybody. We are talking about cruise ships. Now, I wonder if you guys have seen recently some of the cruise lines have been hitting and missing some of the ports. Obviously, with this new, I guess, outbreak, we'll call it, this Omicron. I'm going to get it wrong, I think. It's basically affecting the cruise ships, which ports they're going to. And it's not necessarily the cruise line has some of the issues to deal with. The ports of call where the ships are visiting would have rules and regulations based around the ship arriving, and maybe if there's cases on board, and some of the ships are getting turned away from the ports. Some ships are getting requested that the entire guest count on board has to be tested before they can get off. I know for one of the ships, I think it was Puerto Vallarta or Cabacas, cruise ship basically turned away from the port. When they got there literally that morning, they were told that all the guests would need to be tested. And just the physical timing of that doesn't allow for, let's say a couple of thousand people to be tested, get the results, allow them to get off the ship in the port. So it's obviously becoming a factor. Yeah, Michael, have a good day if you're leaving or you're staying. I hope the question worked out okay for you, and it's given you just a bit of an insight into dining. It does. We have reservations at Cucina the second day at 5:30. Yeah, so just basically factor in your port time versus getting back to the ship and then getting ready and going to dinner. I guess if you're going to have that early dinner, it gives you that kind of that rest of the evening to do things. You can go to the bars, shows, just go out on deck, watch a movie under the stars and things like that. So you've got a lot of things you could do. Yeah, so if anybody else is in the chat, please type away a question. Ooh, 4 thumbs up and 4 people in the chat. So that's good. So that means something's happening. If you want to share this into a cruise group, or maybe I could do that as well. I've got lots of screens here, so please bear with me. I wonder what the voting is. I think you can see the voting. Report poll, close poll. I guess we'll there's 8 votes. I'll just let it kind of keep trickling on, shall I? Let's see now if we can get this. Well, where is the live? Oh, it's right there. Can we copy the link? So just bear with me, everybody. I'm still here. I've not gone anywhere. The only thing is I'm going to put the chat over here. Oh, Amy, how are we going? Amy Condra. So I don't know if you guys are aware that when you log in to YouTube to watch these kind of things, your name would be obviously maybe just your Google account name. Or if you do actually do YouTube yourself, it would be your YouTube account as well. So by default, I don't know if you're aware, if you open YouTube, you can just literally upload a video to your account and you're already off on streaming away. Let's see now if we can get anybody into the chat. Where are we here now? Sorry, everybody. Let's see if we can get a few more people. Oh, you just found me. I'm going on the Vista January 22. So, that's not too far away, right? We're on the 5th, so you've got about 3 weeks. I think January 22 is also meant to be when the Horizon's back in service as well. So yeah, Vista is out of Galveston as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool port to sail out of. Do you live maybe in Texas? Do you live local where you can just drive to and from the ship? I guess so. Yeah, Vista is, they say like Horizon, Panorama, Vista is Horizon is the Vista sister. So you may hear that from time to time. I know when I was on the Horizon, it was, especially for the inaugural, it was just drummed into us a lot. Vista sister. Let's come and join me live now for some cruise chat. Let's see if this will post. Oh, look at that! It will. Now the only thing is the thumbnail for the post is not so amazing, but I'll fix that up later on. So Vista is doing, I think, obviously, is it doing like East-West Caribbean? I can't remember what the itinerary is. I don't know the itinerary of every ship, by the way. I would love to. I've been home a little bit too long now and out of the loop. For anyone that is following the channel, or the I Like Cruise Ships channel that you're watching this on, at the moment I'm posting a lot of Q&A videos. Some people do love them, some people don't. They find them a little bit long. A lot of the idea behind the channel that you're watching is me talking about cruising, and especially giving you more detail about maybe a port of call, going to the beach, a walk around of the ship, cabin tours. So you maybe seen some of those on the channel. And that's really very much the reason and why this channel is what it is. Whereas, let's go back to that one right there. Oh, look at that. Oh, there we go. Now I've got it a little bit. Yeah, and Judy says, Judy Gariva, hi, I just found you as well. Wow, everyone's just finding me. That's kind of cool. We can talk about cruising. We can talk about what's happening right now with the industry. I don't want to make it in any way kind of political or, let's say, medical, but we can definitely discuss what we think about what's happening right now. Oh, Mr. Cruise Fever, I notice you right there as well. Thanks for posting a lot of comments on the videos. I'm definitely replying to them. I do also want to invite anybody, if we want to go live via StreamYard, not necessarily with the YouTube studio, but with StreamYard via a link, we could actually have people in the chat. And we could actually, especially if you're willing to, you can pull up your camera or your phone or whatever you've got, and we can do another stream where we could actually have guests. I am planning to get a guest on in the next couple of weeks, and we will schedule that definitely, because I know he's in the US. He just got off Carnival Magic. So if maybe you're watching this on replay, Neil, shout out to you, and let's set up a time to do our live stream. Judy says, sailing on Celebrity Reflection, February 19. I'm going, as long as Celebrity doesn't cancel. This is my first cruise ever. Wow, your first cruise. Now, that should be, you must be counting the minutes literally now. February 19, what are we on? So about 6 or 7 weeks. Yeah, at the moment, you know, with canceling, the CDC, I guess you'd call it in America, they've put like this, you know, like, I guess press release out to say, don't cruise. The cruise lines are basically not sort of going against those, you know, everything they're following is the protocols that CDC and the cruise lines arrange together. And the cruise lines are doing, let's say, everything they can humanly do to keep cruising safe. Let's call it that. If you compare it to maybe where you live as an example of the differences and the protocols that are in place, obviously the cruise lines are now expecting you to be vaccinated, or if not, have a medical exemption, mask wearing. That's the one thing I think celebrities now just put in a little bit more stricter mask wearing policies on the ship. I guess from the outbreaks recently, if you want to call them outbreaks, I don't know. I kind of hear that word a lot, and I guess cases is probably the best word. I'll follow on the chat. I'll just sort of answer questions as they come up. I think the cruise lines really don't want to cancel. They don't want to go through that kind of 12, 15-month kind of pause. And the cruise lines will do everything they can to allow the ships to sail. One of the challenges that they're having, obviously, is with the ports of call. And as the ships arrive or they have that schedule for that week, the local authorities may implement new rules literally within a day or two or within that week of sailing, where they're basically, let's say the word, turning ships away. Sorry, I'm looking at my own video over here. I shouldn't look at myself. I should look at the chat over here instead. And a lot of people are, I don't know, they're trying to find someone to blame for it. You know, especially where there's cases on board. How is it possible when all the crew are vaccinated? I think depending on the cruise line, some of them are now having either 100% vaccination to cruise, and you've got to have the vaccine certificate, or 95%. Obviously, with children under 12, I think it is, they're putting a little bit, they obviously can't get those vaccinated depending on the rules of the city, town, country where you are. So, Judy, I wonder if you've started packing already. I know that's a big deal, even for me going back to the ship for work. especially when I know my return date. I kind of have my luggage already open. I start planning. I have to travel with my uniform, so I make sure I've got new white shirts and pants and kind of ready, new socks and things like that. So, and then I plan all my shorts and t-shirts. Pretty much when I'm not at work, I'm shorts and t-shirts. If we want to go out into public areas on the ship, we have to wear suits and tie for guys. So I've always got my suits as well. So Amy says our itinerary changed to Belize, Mahogany Bay, and Cozumel. I think it's probably because of Grand Cayman, and I don't know if ships are going to Jamaica. I think Cayman is the one that sort of hasn't allowed ships back yet, I think. So yeah, Belize, obviously that's a tender port if you haven't been there before. And a lot of kind of water activity based itinerary tours as well. So things like snorkeling, you can do swimming with sharks, you can do beach days. Mahogany Bay is obviously the private port of or Carnival Corporation, I guess you'd call it. Mahogany Bay. It can allow 2 ships to dock. There's a shopping facility there, shopping area. There's a beach. There's even a cable car that runs from the pier down to the beach, or you can walk it in 10 minutes. And Cozumel, if you haven't been, obviously Mexico, a lot of so many things you can do there. So Amy says it's going to be her 10th cruise. Wow! So I imagine if you're on 10 cruises now, the diamond, platinum, gold, red card holders have changed now. But originally the 10th cruise would have been your platinum cruise, but now they're going by cruise days, not cruises. Cruise days. So yeah, that would be your platinum cruise. So 10 cruises is amazing, by the way. I wish I'm on 4 cruises, I think. If I remember, I was Carnival Spirit in Australia was my last cruise I cruised as a guest on. So, Mr. Cruise, I love your name, by the way, Mr. Cruise Fever. And is there a Mr. Cruise Fever like 2 and 3? Because you've got a 1 there. Funny you should ask. I just started sorting my clothes. Yeah, right. I guess you could kind of maybe try to kind of, based on how many days you'll be on the ship, maybe have a little bit of a plan of your clothing itinerary, I guess. And then just keep in mind, pretty much whatever you do put in that luggage, you'll probably end up wearing maybe half, especially just once you get used to the weather conditions. You don't need such big, bulky kind of things to wear. I know even for me personally, I wear shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops in crew areas. For dining, going to the messes, we've got to have closed-toed shoes, but I don't need as much sort of clothing that I need in here in Russia as I would in the Caribbean. So the only tough thing is I know when I fly back, I'll have to go to the airport kind of rugged up. Like today we went out, scarf, gloves, beanie, jacket, second jacket. You get to the airport. It's funny when you fly out of Moscow and you go somewhere, you'll see people have a friend there with them. That's basically like their coat check. So they get in the terminal, they strip off all their clothes and give it to their friends who take it to the car and drive it home. And they go then to the check-in just with their small suitcase. I even remember when I flew one flight, was it with Thai Airways? We were going with Qatar, and I think there was a lot of people going on to Thailand. I think maybe Qatar Airways, and they were flying connecting to Thailand. And there was literally young guys and families just in literally shorts, t-shirts, and flip-flops on the plane. So I remember very well. Yeah, even I sort of prepare my bags, and especially my gadgets and knickknacks that I want for the room, not necessarily clothing so much, but where I know I need an extra cable for my phone or the extra plug, things for the bathroom, like I take 2 toothbrushes rather than just 1, so that if I know I won't get off the ship the first few weeks, I have a little bit of a backup of things. Where are you from? Are you working on a ship? Amy says, yeah, I'm from Perth, Australia. Now, I have a bit of a crazy story. I was originally born in England, moved to Australia. My parents or family moved to Australia when I was 8 years old. I've worked on cruise ships for this year will be 21 years, let's say on and off. You do 6 or 8 month contracts. You go home for 2 or 3 months. You come back again, go home, come back. I'm still counting these. Well, it'll be March. Will be 2 years effectively since I left the Dream when the shutdown happened. So yeah, I do count this time while I'm even this long at home as how many years I worked on cruise ships. So I do work in cruise ships. I work in the onboard duty-free shops, selling pretty much the liquor and tobacco and sundries in the shop. So if you obviously have been in ships, and there's the duty-free shops with jewelry, watches, perfume, cosmetics, souvenirs, t-shirts. I've got actually Carnival Dream t-shirt on. So yeah, I do the liquor and tobacco, and I'm what's considered a liquor specialist. You'll see even the staff in the shops now on their name badges, they've got different jewelry specialists, watch specialists. The cruise company that I work for that operate the shops, we're a private retailer on board. They're trying to niche down the staff in the shops now to have more dedicated roles rather than just getting on as a salesperson. First night, figure out what you know, where you're going to work, and that's that. So let's see how many. Where's our poll? Oh, we got 12 votes on our poll. That's pretty good if there's only 4 people live. And we got 5 thumbs up. So thanks if you've given us a thumbs up. They always talk about the algorithm of YouTube and how it helps. I guess that's maybe how you found the channel. So if you haven't subscribed and you want to keep up on new videos, there's obviously a lot of videos in the playlist. Some obviously a little bit older now, but a lot of them are very relevant. I've scrolled down too fast. Yeah, it was Jamaica. Oh, Jamaica came and they changed to Belize, Mahogany Bay, Cozumel. Yeah, so I think cruise ships aren't going to Jamaica right now. They are, I'm not sure. Most of Carnival ships go to Ocho Rios, predominantly because of Don River Falls being very close by. There is also Montego Bay, but it's kind of the other side of the island, and there's not as many tours that are, I guess, suitable for the guests on the ship to go to Montego Bay. So in Cayman, I'm gold on. Gold is like the 3rd level before platinum, right? So you start off as a blue card, and then the reason they got red is that your cruising's hotting up because it's 2 or more cruises, and then gold will be somewhere between about 5 and maybe 10 or 15 cruises now, depending on the cruise days, and then platinum is kind of the first premium level, I guess you would call it, where maybe 10, 15 or more cruises. You could really get away with doing, especially living in Florida maybe or local, you could do 3 and 4 day cruises, a few of them, and you'd be at platinum very fast. Now they're kind of tapering off. I imagine the next few years, Carnival will have to come up with some other maybe plan of their past guest or VIFP for Carnival, because they'll have so many people kind of upgrading to different levels over the years, and they'll end up with more and more gold, more and more platinum, diamond. So, good morning from Connecticut. Mercedes, how are you going? Connecticut. So we've got some people on the East Coast. We've got some people in Texas, and then we go. Mercedes is from Florida. What? You guys know each other? But maybe she's from Connecticut. She's living in Connecticut. I'm from Austin, Texas. I went on 2 Royal Caribbean ships. Yeah, when I was on Dream, we'd always alternate the pier. The Royal Caribbean ships were always alternating with the Carnival ships at the, what do they call them, like Pier 1 and 2, or I don't know what they call them. Is it 1 and 2? And then now actually in Galveston, Royal's building a new terminal a little bit further down from, this is it, Fisherman's Wharf is right there where the ships dock. And then there was another pier. I know when we always sailed it in and out, it always looked like it was kind of like a cargo pier where they've got all, sometimes tractors parked there or vehicles. I'm pretty sure that's where Royal is building their new terminal. Actually, I saw a photo yesterday of the structure, the steel structure for it. So probably a little bit of a drive to go down and have a look at it, but yeah. So I wonder what you're thinking about. A lot of people obviously have to get tested. One thing that's a little bit of a challenge for me here in Russia, oh, my computer's wobbling a little, is I got double vaccinated before I left Australia. I've been here now 4 months. But in Russia, they've got Sputnik, is the Russian vaccine, and pretty much the Russian government said you can be vaccinated, but only with a Russian vaccine. Actually, Russia sold the Sputnik to a lot of other countries. And the problem we've got is it's not really very strict here in terms of which, if you're vaccinated or not. They are trying to get people to be more vaccinated and get the percentages up, but a lot of people are hesitant and don't really take a lot of belief in the Sputnik vaccine. But actually yesterday, my wife and I and some friends, we went to a magic show at a theater, and there was probably, I reckon, 3,000 or 4,000 people at this concert hall that had the magic show. And that concert was what was the word on the sign? COVID-free event. So basically, you had to show your QR code for your vaccination. Now, if you get the Sputnik one, the government issue a QR code. And then at the entrance, before you show your tickets, they scan your QR code. Now, I've actually got a QR code from Australia for my Pfizer. And they kind of scanned it and then looked at my passport and let me go through. So the only places here in Moscow they're checking is theaters, concerts, and what's the other one? Museums, which I don't really tend to go to museums. And at sporting events, I've been to the ice hockey and the football. So yeah, the football and the ice hockey they checked as well, but I got in no problems. So yeah, oh, hello, Senor. Oh, Vizio's Travel, how you going? I know you've got a cruise channel as well. We should really try to get on and do a live stream together. I can't do it today because I'm not using StreamYard, but if we put StreamYard on a live stream, we could definitely do a Q&A with each other, I guess, and talk about cruising and maybe share each other's audience. Amy says her husband is getting his booster today. Yeah, actually, funny enough, last week I got an email from the Australian government saying I'm now eligible for the booster. I think there's a time period after your second vaccination for Australia that you can then get the booster. But obviously I'm here now, so no booster for me. I was thinking about getting the Sputnik. It's called Sputnik Light. Sputnik V, just so I could get a Russian QR code. So it's a little bit easier if I do get stopped anywhere. So far, everywhere that I've been to, I've kind of just, let's say, talked my way into the event. I do have the actual certificates, like printed out papers. There's not a vaccine card they're giving us. Australia's got like a certificate with a Australian crest on there and things like that. And they are looking to change now the policy in Australia where it'll be built into a phone app. So you'll actually be able to scan a QR code going into a business. So you can actually let the government know where you are so that they can contact trace if they needed to. And then it will be built in with the vaccination as well, especially for sporting events and things like that will be very useful. Check out the Down Under Cruises Australian. Check out the Down Under Cruises, Australian friends of mine. Oh, there's another cruise channel. Yeah, I don't watch lots of cruise channels. I know there's quite a lot of them, right? There really is. I was watching Cruising. I think it's Cruising with Ben. I don't know. I think it's Ben and another guy. They have some pretty cool videos. There's a lot of cruise news videos where they do current news. And I was forever kind of thinking about doing that. I'm not the best at basically filming something that happened an hour ago. I'm a little bit late to the story. And I noticed that kind of tends to be, Ben and David. Thanks, Judy. Yeah, Cruising with Ben and David. So if you like a couple of British guys, I think they're partners, I would imagine. and they put some pretty good videos together. They've got some really good editing of their travels. They tend to go on a lot of the newer ships. I think they're from England. I'm definitely from England, so they must cruise out of Europe a lot. Definitely a good channel to check out. Yeah, it's the Down Under cruises. Yeah, there is a few cruise groups that I'm part of. I haven't watched any Australian, I guess, vloggers or bloggers. A lot of people do ask me what I do, particularly while I'm here in Russia, and I'm actually using the YouTube channel as my source of income. The channel's monetized because it's over 1,000 subscribers. So I'm very fortunate that living here. There is also a website that I do, but I've not posted to that either. ilikecruiseships.com. It's a little bit maybe not current with the news at the moment, but I did sort of in the last few days in December say that I should start again for January and this year, making it like a resolution that I'll do cruise news on there as well. The thing with cruise news is it's very fast. So, and now with so many people having social media groups and even access to some of the cruise line Facebook and Twitter accounts and stuff like that, people are kind of sharing the news quicker than what, cruise news websites can even get the news out to everybody. So that's just, I'm just not quick enough. Even though I'm sitting here and I've got two screens, my laptop, the phone, and I'm just not sure. I just don't want to, say news and then it's not news within, a few hours, and I feel like I'm behind. I also don't want to do any kind of, clickbait style news where it's sort of sensational. I'm very positive about the cruise industry. I've worked on ships a lot of years. I've never ever been negative about cruising. I've always enjoyed it and loved the job that I do. And I know a lot of crew on ships do as well. You do tend to get a few bloggers who have I'm going to say a little bit of a chip on their shoulder about cruising and something about it they just don't like. And, this is the thing with cruising right now. A lot of people are, quite, indifferent in how they feel about cruising. And, obviously there's a lot of, let's say the word risk in cruising right now. And I guess if we can kind of take into account everything that's happening around us, and especially in the towns and cities where we live, it's, just as relevant where we live, the outbreaks that are going on and the cases. I know for here in Russia, going back, I guess almost 2 months ago now, there was I guess they didn't call it a lockdown here. They called it non-working days, where they had a 10-day non-working day period where they told everybody to work from home, people shouldn't travel, go out. And honestly, in the time that happened, I don't go out a lot here, by the way. When I've lived here in the years before now, I'd go out almost every day, especially to Moscow. We're about 40 minutes from Moscow center. Now I don't go out maybe 2 or 3 days in a row. I won't go farther than our apartment building or the local shops. I don't feel uncomfortable about the coronavirus here in Russia. I know there is cases. I know people have had illnesses and things like that. I do wear a mask when I'm on trains and buses. And some shopping centers, it's required that you wear one as well. If you're going to takeaway food outlets, they require you to wear one for ordering and picking up your food. But in general, there is a lot of people who just don't wear them. If you're on the buses or the metro or the subways and the police approach you or the guards, they can fine you. They can do whatever they like, essentially. So I don't take any risks with that. And also the fact that it's in large crowds as well. Last night at the magic show, we had to wear masks. Even as we were walking from our parked car, there was a guy on a bullhorn telling us about it. My wife was laughing. She's like, we're not even at the entrance yet. And there's a guy telling us to put our mask on. And it's, when we're out in sort of just walking in the streets and in the parks and, things like that, there's no need to wear one. especially in crowded areas, and not to have that risk of things. So I just thank you, Jason. I'm not reading out everything, but yeah, Jason Wilson, if anyone's following the chat. When will you be back on the Dream? Now, Amy, for now, the plan is to go back on Horizon. Actually, I've been asked 3 times in the last couple of months. I don't think I can make the January 22 I guess startup date. The ship is in Italy right now, in Palermo, in dry dock. It's getting repainted. It's getting its engines taken care of. There is a few photos floating around of the ship's hull getting redone as well. I would really love to be able to fly from Moscow to Italy 3 hours and get on the ship. It looks like I'll have to fly back to the US to join the ship. Yeah, so I'd love to go back on the Dream as well. The guy I was working with, Lawrence, who was in the liquor store as well, he's now on vacation for the time he was on the Horizon, and he's going back there. And he and we want to try and do another contract together in the liquor store, and also make some videos. If you might want to watch the Paradise Beach video, the newer release one, there's 2 different Paradise Beach Cozumel videos that I made, and Lawrence is in that one. He and I went there together for the day, and actually we've done the Carnival Dream water slide review. If you watch that video as well, Lawrence is in that as well. He's very good in that video. Should you go see a doctor, Jason? I guess that's up to you. Don't forget the thumbs up, people. Yeah, so we've got 9 people in the chat, and we've got 8 thumbs up. So I guess that's kind of good. I guess if we can't get more thumbs up than people, unless people come and go, I guess. So yeah, thanks for everyone that's watching. If you're sharing it, wherever you're from around the world, if you guys do like these, I will try to schedule them. The only thing I need to do is don't do them when my wife wants to be here in the kitchen, and don't do them too late. I know it clashes a lot with the US time. So yeah, no. Oh, Judy's asking Mr. Cruz where in Florida, from South Florida, North Palm Beach County area. I don't know where Palm Beach is. I do know Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Port Canaveral, and I like Port Canaveral because I know there's a town nearby called Melbourne, Florida, and there's Melbourne in Australia. So Carnival needs a ship out of Fort Lauderdale again. Yeah, I remember. Oh my gosh, what was the ship I was on out of? Was it the Magic? It was out of Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, pretty much Carnival Corporation. It's very interesting. They have very few ships out of Fort Lauderdale. Mostly all the Holland America ships are there, the Princess ships. Of course, Royal is there as well. So yeah, we're neighbors. Boynton Beach. Oh, you guys are all close together. So I'm sure it's much warmer than here. I did point out at the beginning, we're on minus, can we see that? Minus 4.1 outside. Now the clock is wrong because it's 7:28 p.m. I do actually, this is one of those indoor-outdoor kind of doobies. So it's getting warmer in here, 27.5, because I've got the window closed, the kitchen door closed. And I've got a little sensor outside our window that I've glued on there that gives me the temperature. And we'll just show you here. Minus 22.9 is the coldest I've had it in the 4 months I've been here. So yeah, if you ever think about doing an Alaska cruise, will you be in the Horizon in October? Now, the plan is to get back there February. Now, I don't think I can make January 22. The actual reason I can't make these dates is at the moment I've got my Russian residency visa pending. My wife and I are planning to stay here in the short term. I keep saying short term, probably 1 year, maybe 2 years, and then get back to Australia. And the fact that we were married here in Russia, and I can apply for a Russian residency, which will give me then an indefinite visa to come from the ships back and forward to Russia without having to get a visa each time through the embassy in Australia. So I lodged my paperwork now. I think we're about 5 weeks in. They said it takes 2 to 3 months. There's no set date. But literally the day after I got my visa processed and in my hand, basically we're pretty sure they put a sticker on one of the pages. I'll be able to basically jump on the ship, basically leave Russia and then fly back to a cruise ship and then fly back to Russia at the end of my contract. Or if I need to come back for any reason, I can do it, no worries. So that's what's holding me up at the moment with my joining date of my next ship. So hopefully October, definitely. Carnival cruise ship needs a ship out of Fort Lauderdale again, year round, maybe like Carnival Dream. Yeah. So again, I guess there's some sort of, I guess maybe it's just the scheduling that doesn't allow Carnival ships to be out of Fort Lauderdale. I guess kind of Miami and Port Canaveral. Excuse me, I'm just itchy nose. It's kind of the, I guess, the home for Carnival cruise ships, Port Canaveral and Miami, and now Galveston, of course, Tampa. They're going to have, is it Jacksonville? They're going to have another ship coming out of in March. Yeah, I'm going on Royal Vision of the Seas in early April. Should I be worried about delays and cancellations? Galvin 316. I guess it's very hard to kind of predict where everything's going at the moment. I know from an Australian point of view, a Russian point of view, the amount of cases in Australia right now, I'm for sure cruising is not going to start up. I think the plan is for, I think March or April is now the extended date for cruises to start up in Australia. What's difficult in Australia is in Melbourne and Sydney. And Sydney's got 25,000 cases a day in one state. And yet over in Perth, where I'm from, they've got 5 cases a day. And Australia as a country have got basically state borders, and the state borders are closed to each other at the moment. So, you know, cancellations in Australia, I think, are going to be inevitable for the next restart in April, March, April. I guess, look, the worst you can do, you know, Galvin, is basically, you know, prepare a little bit for the worst, maybe with travel insurance. Yeah, not necessarily having like a plan B, but if the cruises do continue on as they are, maybe there might be a missed port of call. There might be an extra sea day thrown in. The ports where the ships are going to may basically, let's say, lock down or choose to not allow ships to come into port. I know in the last 15 or 18 months, or even up to 2 years now, people have had canceled cruises. They've rebooked, canceled, rebooked. And now the cruise lines are trying their utmost to sail with the protocols in place, you know, the cleaning and hygiene, the mask wearing, the, you know, the social distancing and things like that. And if I compare to here in Russia, I mean, pretty much every day of the week I could go out and it doesn't feel any different from the previous day when they had that lockdown a couple of months ago. I mean, I didn't really go out just for the sake of it then, but, you know, just to go to the shops and do my normal little things. I didn't notice any difference. I mean, the one time we had to go to the shopping center, we took the bus, the traffic on the highway was no different. And here in Russia, I'm going to say that people are learning to live with it, I guess, if that's the sense, you know. And the cruise lines, I think, are going to have to kind of figure out a way to kind of, you know, keep going. Not necessarily from a monetary point of view. I guess that's kind of tough to talk about like that because they've had that kind of long period of shutdown, and even now where they're cruising with not capacity. I mean, the cruise lines, I would imagine, are not making lots of money because they're not sailing at full capacity. And then where they've got ports cancelled, of course, that affects their revenue from shore excursions. And also people who aren't happy, you know what I mean? People want refunds, you know, they're trying to be very flexible with cancellations. So, yeah, I hope that kind of gives you a bit of an insight. Cruises are very dangerous with COVID. Sam, thank you. Yeah, look, I think everywhere is very dangerous. Of course, cruise ships are more of a confined environment, kind of like an aeroplane, a floating, what are they calling, like a flying Pringle can, and over the years, obviously people went on flights and got colds and flus and, recycled air conditioning, things like that. The cruise lines are doing as much as they humanly can, in terms of cleaning and health protocols. The public health rules well before all of this came about, were so strict for the galleys and for the hygiene of the dining rooms and food preparation. How it's getting on board now, I can only imagine it's from people getting from the ports. Where a lot of the crew have to be vaccinated or double vaccinated. They've also got weekly testing, which all cruise lines are doing across the board. They're also basically breaking down the crew into smaller groups as well, into clusters, and depending on the cruise line's ruling, so that if one person does get infected, it's not affecting the entire department. They're trying their best to basically, overcome some of these obstacles. Vizio says, not really that dangerous if you are careful, being on 2 back-to-back with no issues. Yeah, I guess if you just follow all the rules and as all the protocols that are in place, there's a lot of people, if I look at yesterday, for instance, going to the magic show, I reckon, I said that there was 5,000 there. I reckon there was probably 3,000 or 4,000 there at this concert hall. It was a huge, one of those Vegas-style magic shows with the big, illusions and the fireworks and things like that. And I reckon there was probably 20 or 30. It was 3 brothers, by the way, the show. It was all in Russian. I didn't understand a word. But just the amount of people going into the theater and the seating, there was no social distancing on any of the seating. The line for the toilets. And then when you go into most places in Russia, you've got coat check. And the entire theater did coat check. So I said to my wife, and my friend, we'll just wait back a few minutes and we'll let the crowd go out. We saw them all leaving from the seating, went around the corner, and crowds at the coat check. And there's definitely no social distancing. There's only so much you can do, short of putting yourself in, cotton wool in your room, I guess. CDC is stupid and make people scared. This last, I guess what we're talking about, cruising, this last, press releases about warning people against cruising altogether. You know what I mean? And then there's always that, I saw somebody mentioning there about they're not restricting sporting events, football, bowl games. There's no real, restriction on airlines, particularly in the US. For Australia, we've got limitations on the amount of people that can fly and arrive into each state at the moment. For WA, where I live, I think they've capped international arrivals at 450 people per week, which puts every flight arriving at only roughly 20 people on a flight, which is just insane to think that is what happened. When I flew out to Russia, it was 27 people on the flight, I think it was, when we left Perth. I flew with Singapore Airlines, Perth, Singapore to Moscow. Got to go. Thanks for the chat, Amy. No worries if you've gone already. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind reading. Judy says goodbye as well, or goodbye to Amy, I guess. Royal Caribbean have year-round out of year-round. I guess we're talking back there about Fort Lauderdale. I'm pretty sure Carnival must just have some sort of agreements with the capacities of each port, particularly in Florida. And that's probably why they don't have as many out of Fort Lauderdale. I enjoyed sailing out of there. I didn't really love it from a crew perspective. The cruise terminals, I think they can even handle like 10 or 15 ships in a day. And the distances from where the crews dock to the nearest crew facilities, like a crew center or a supermarket or Walmart or There was one supermarket we used to go to there in Fort Lauderdale. They weren't close, and it wasn't convenient for crew. And when you get to a home port, you want to be able to do things and get off. Like in Galveston, you can walk off. Across the street is Starbucks. There's a public bus that takes you to Walmart or Target or Ross. You can also get a crew shuttle to Walmart as well. So, and even with Galveston, you could walk to CVS. CVS? So, yeah, from Walgreens, we used to go to KFC. I know that. So yeah, when I compare some of the home ports, it's a matter of what's convenient for me as well, not just maybe where the ship's docking for you guys as guests on the ship. So, yeah, Chicago, Illinois here. Oh, wow. So you're up in Chicago. Now, I wonder if, I don't know if you're a sports fan or not, Galvin. I guess maybe it's a girl or guy. I don't know. Galvin sounds like guy, but I wonder if you know what the connection is with Perth, Australia, and the Chicago Bulls. Now, I wonder if you know what the connection is. I'll give you a few seconds. And Vizio's from Oklahoma. Anybody know of a shuttle from Port of Fort Lauderdale to Miami International Airport? Now, I don't necessarily know the shuttle. I guess somebody in the chat might, but the cruise lines will offer a shuttle service from your cruise to the airport. And they'll typically, even with Fort Lauderdale, they'll offer Fort Lauderdale shuttle and Miami Airport shuttle. And there'll be a per person charge. Another option would be to get off and book an Uber if you have an Uber app on your phone, or in Moscow we have Yandex. I don't think there's Yandex in America. Oh, my itchy nose still. So yeah, you could maybe. Well, I don't know, Galvin, if you look up on Facebook, there's a lot of cruise-specific groups. So where you might type into the search of Facebook the name of your ship and then the travel date or the date that you'd leave. And there may even be a group set up with maybe 50, 100, 200 people in it. And then maybe you could ask that question there, obviously in all the general cruise groups as well. I did actually notice a little bit further back, someone asked me, do I have a Facebook group? I did try to have one. It was like Friends of, let me go back to see what it's called. Friends of, I like cruise ships, is it? Oh, I like cruise ships, fans and friends. There's only 150 people in it. So you want to come into that one. The one that I'm working on, apart from the I Like Cruise Ships Facebook page, is there's another one that I've been putting a lot of posting on, which a friend and I set up. It's called Cruising News, Tips, and Chat. Cruising News, Tips, and Chat. It's got 10,200 members. I'd really like that group to be more proactive and people post more and ask more questions and things like that. It doesn't happen, but 10,200 people in that group. So if anyone wants to come across to it, you could. Oh, all right. So Vizio says from Vigo, Spain originally. I wonder if that's where Vizio. Now, Carnival Horizon went to Vigo on its cruise from Barcelona to New York, by the way. We stopped in Vigo, Spain on that cruise. We had basically one day. So, right, Galvin says Luke Longley, and I guess Vizio knows as well. Yeah, Luke Longley was the starting center for the Bulls, and he is from Perth, Australia. And I'll just give you a little tiny extra story about that. So, and there's 9 people in the chat. We can talk about cruising. I'm just going to talk about Luke Longley because Galvin said he's from Chicago. Yeah, so Luke Longley, I went to John Curtin College of the Arts. That's the high school I went to in Fremantle in Australia, in Perth. And I was 2 years difference with his brother. Sam Longley. He has two other brothers, Sam Griffin and Luke, and he's only 2 years apart from me, so I didn't really know him at all, but they were basically living in the same area where I went to high school. The actual other connection, Luke obviously played with Chicago Bulls. His father, John Longley, was part of Australia 2, which was the America's Cup boat that won the yacht race in 1983 in Newport, Rhode Island. I wonder if you know that connection a little bit. And I played tennis in Fremantle with his mum. I don't remember his mum's name though, Longley, but because they're from the same area where I'm from, I have a tiny connection. So yeah. Galvin, you're in that group. Yeah, the cruising news tips and chat. Yeah, I mean, if you want to post anything, obviously cruise related, any photos, cruise questions. There's very few that I decline. Mostly just spam is what I decline in that group. So anything you want to post away in there, go for it. And then Vizio. I keep wanting to say Vigo. Vizio says, did you get out and explore Vigo? I can't remember what I did that day. I know right before I mentioned it. I'm trying to remember what I did that day. I think. I just don't remember what we did. Honestly and truly, I know I got off the ship, but that's about all. Most of what I really remember about Europe was all the ports in Italy. I'm sorry, Spain, but I remember all of the Italian ports. We were obviously also in the shipyard for 3 weeks before we left to Barcelona to start the itinerary in Europe. So I do remember a lot of the Italian ports, and the fact that we did also 7-day, 10-day cruises. We came back to some of the ports twice. So I'll have to go look through my photos now and see what I did that day. So I'm very sorry. I hope everybody likes this chat. We're at just over an hour. I might wrap it up soon. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you like this kind of format. Obviously, the more questions. Galvin says he's a big Bulls fan. So yeah, I guess you definitely know Luke, whose name wasn't it Cool Hands Luke? He's now back in Australia, of course. He's very, I wouldn't say reclusive, but he does keep out of the media. He keeps out of the spotlight. You obviously wouldn't miss him walking down the street if he walked by you. His mum is normal height, but his dad, John, is a tall guy as well. So if you're very much into sport or history of sport with yachting, so Australia basically won the America's Cup in Newport, Rhode Island in 83. And then that was the first time America had lost the cup in 100 years. They held that trophy for 100 years consecutive. Now imagine that in terms of your sporting team where you live and then not losing for 100 years. Imagine who's the guy with Tampa Bay that was with New England before. Imagine him winning 50 championships in a row. It's not even heard of in your head, right? But John Longley is actually an architect, and he did some architectural designing of the yacht that obviously won those races and then ultimately lost it in 87 back in Fremantle. Judy says, thanks for your knowledge. I've got one Russian person in the chat. I don't know what you have written there, but if you want to write anything in English, I can't read Russian, unfortunately, apart from some of the supermarket names and milk and bread and things like that. Do you have a favorite RC ship? I loved Liberty and Adventurer. Anthem was too big. I haven't worked on any Royal Caribbean ships. Pretty much my career has been Carnival, Norwegian Cruise Line. I was on 7 or 8 of those ships. Carnival, I've probably been on about 15 of those ships. The contract on Holland America, contract on MSC. And I also lived in Grand Turk for a year as well, working for Dufry. If you've been to Grand Turk, the shop that you walk through, I worked there as well. So yeah, I don't necessarily have any really favorite Royal Caribbean ships. I want to go on these big ships. I mean, you mentioned there that Alua's too big. One thing that gets pointed out a lot with Royal is the ship is the destination, not necessarily where the ship is sailing to. Like, for instance, going to the ports of call. The cruise ships are kind of built around you staying on board the ship and using all the facilities. So I guess, Carnival, I guess now has got the Mardi Gras, which is bigger than all of the ships they'd previously built. That is a sister ship to P&O Iona. And there's a Costa, what's the Costa one? Toscana. So it's sister ship to bigger ships as well. Yeah, I don't mind big ships compared to, let's say, older Carnival Fantasy class ships. I guess it's kind of finding that sweet spot of where you are happy with walking around the ship, getting from place to place, your cabin to the dining room to the pool. And then I guess there's a bit of a choice then about the itinerary. So where you can drive half an hour to go on a cruise versus flying from, let's say, Texas to New York or to Alaska to take a cruise, or say to Europe to cruise for the itinerary. So that's basically a kind of choice you've got to make. Sometimes there's a payoff with cruising on, that's where you'll get a lot of people, particularly like where you're out of Galveston, where they've done 5 or 10 cruises on, let's say, Vista or Carnival. Breeze was there, right? And then the Dream, because they only cruise locally. They don't necessarily choose their cruise because of the itinerary or that extra kind of need to travel. So I guess if that makes a factor in it. Vizio says, great job. I go live on Tuesdays, 5:55 Central Time. Lots of good information you are providing. Oh, thanks. Well, thanks for me. I'll have to try to catch one of your live streams. Yeah, your team didn't. Cubs didn't win for 108 years. Yeah, I think there's a few teams in the last sort of 5 or 10 years that have done these kind of firsts, right? Like, wasn't one of the teams like didn't win for 80 years or something or other as well? I know in Australia just now the Melbourne football team won the Australian Rules Premiership. They call it Premiership in Australia. I forget what it was like 30 or 40 years since they didn't win it. So Vizio said, Vizio, maybe you can point out some things about Royal. Maybe also we should join up on your chat as well. But the Carnival Mardi Gras impressed me the most. Wow. So I guess you could kind of compare Mardi Gras with some of the bigger Royal ships, because the Mardi Gras has kind of really broken the mold of the very typical Carnival design of ship, where you've got kind of cabins, and you've got the public areas on maybe 1 or 2 decks, that traditional atrium, and traditional Lido deck. And then with the Mardi Gras and then the previous ships built as sister ships, they kind of really mixed up where the theater is, where the dining and restaurants are, where the main congregation is, like in the atrium. They've got a stage in the atrium, and it's kind of really, mixed up what people have known for a lot of years. I mean, a lot of other cruise line celebrities doing that as well with the Edge class ships. So it's, if you look at Royal as well with ice skating rinks, Dodgem cars, the iFly, the what's this surfing? They've got the Wave. What's the surfing thing called? I don't know the name of that at the back of the ship there. So, I guess you could kind of now start comparing Royal with Carnival in a way in terms of the bigger ships. My wife and I strictly take RC. We choose our cruises due to itinerary, right? Yeah, that's, let's say, very logical to do that as well, where you may want to go to new places every time, or go to a region like even Southern Caribbean versus East and West Caribbean. That makes sense. So Mardi Gras seems too cramped for the shopping, etc. Seems like the ceilings were too low. Checked out a long tour of it on YouTube. Yeah, I did watch a couple of tours from John Heald when he was on board. I didn't catch any of the things about the shops. The shops on Mardi Gras are a different company to the one that I work for. Carnival uses, I think it's still at 4 different companies to operate the shop or onboard concessions. So the company I work for isn't on all Carnival ships. Actually, not even on all Royal. I think it's a couple of ships that are exempted. On America, they gave some away. Now they're getting some back again. So, oh, Flowrider, thank you. Yeah, that's the wave thing. They got one in Grand Turk. I never, in the year I lived there, I never got a chance to do Flowrider in Grand Turk. When the ships aren't in port there, none of the port facility is open. Pretty much, well, everything is closed. We'd come in on a couple of the non-ship days to do work in the shops, or if we had our container delivery, we'd be there to do things like that. But otherwise, actually, I took a swim in the pool a couple of times. If you've been to Grand Turk, when we'd come and do non-port days, non-ship days. But it's a very strange island. It just goes dead. There's only about 4,000 or 5,000 people on the island as it is. So on a non-ship day, you know what I mean? It's just everywhere is quiet. So, Vizio is editing a video that he's going to come out on the weekend. Make sure you have make sure you have a tight swimsuit. Flora has a lot of water pressure. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we could all go check out Vizio's travel channel. If anyone isn't a subscriber to my channel, I guess I should promote myself a little bit. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, trying. It's a slow grind with these last 1,000 or so people. Obviously, if I did go back on a ship tomorrow morning, I could film videos, make content, talk about everything that's going on right now, and give you a bit of an insight. And obviously, my viewership would go crazy, I think. Another good YouTuber, actually, I'll just mention is Chris Wong Vlogs. He's a staff member on Royal Caribbean. I believe he works in the casino on board. He makes some nice videos. He's English as well, so it's very easy to follow what he's talking about, and the way he describes everything. Yeah, actually, I think I remember back when Royal first had the flow riders, there was always that talk about injuries, and I'm pretty sure even now you have to sign a disclaimer that there's a possibility you could get injured doing the flow rider. And I'm not sure, I think even, was there some lawsuits in the very beginning about it and things like that? I mean, look, you could get injured picking up your burger at the burger place. I mean, but of course with the Royal ships having so many kind of adrenaline style activities, the iFly, dodging cars, ice skating, things can happen, right? So I'm 2 away from 1,600. Oh, so do you have a goal as well? Maybe, I guess 1,600 is broken now. Yeah, I guess maybe you were going for 2,000 or 5,000. Yeah, I remember back when I was trying to get to 1,000, it was like so difficult. And then once Horizon came out, I made a lot of videos on board, and then guests recognized me in the shops every day almost. Oh, I just subscribed. Okay. Oh, it's me or Vizio's channel. Thanks if you've subscribed. If you really want to subscribe to my other channel, it's called Traveling with Russell. If you want to open that up and check it out later. I have some Russian videos, some, I guess, more blog style videos, some interesting ones. I just got a video shared on MSN News about electric buses in Moscow. There's some electric bus fleet. They're now getting away from fuel cell buses and not producing, ordering any more, I guess, diesel fuel buses. And they're going to battery or electric buses. And MSN shared my video on one of their press releases, which is crazy. So yeah, traveling with Russell. I'm at 150 subscribers, so a long way away from anything possible. But Judy says, yeah, I love Chris Wong. Yeah, I watched quite a few of his videos, and I really do like the way he comes across. And yeah, I just watched the video yesterday that he's going home. I guess his 6 or 8 months contract is up. And it's sort of weird the way he sort of talked about, about the future, and maybe I guess he's maybe up in the air about coming back. He said that he wants to stay in the industry. I'm not sure where he was leading to with that, because maybe he's got something else planned, or his YouTube channel, or he may be feeling like he could go full time with YouTube, and maybe make more travel content rather than working. One thing that's kind of important, and I noticed when I watched his behind the scenes video where he showed some of the crew areas, the cruise lines make all of the staff and crew sign social media policy contracts, or whatever you would call that, policies, which talk a lot about what you can and can't post on social media, particularly back then Facebook. Now YouTube's become a thing. There's more YouTubers that work on the ships. And I noticed in that video where he showed the forward crew bar on the front of the ship, I think he went in the crew gym, and I'm pretty sure he would have been restricted on what other areas he can't show. And maybe that's something that's in his head a little bit, that he knows he can't do too much filming in public on the ship. And I'm sure he's very, very guided by what he can and can't say. And I'm the same, working on Carnival as well. So I have to be, not necessarily now when I'm talking like this, but when I'm on the ship and I'm filming things on the ship, showing the brand, you have to be aware of what you can and can't film. So Galvin's going to join Vizio's channel, get to at least 2,000. So yes, I guess 2022, your goal is 2,000 subscribers. My goal actually, I knew I wouldn't reach 10,000 by, I guess, January 1st, which is a few days ago now, but my short-term, long-term goal is 10,000 subscribers. My Traveling with Russell channel would be to get 1,000 subscribers, but it's kind of crazy. How far am I to Moscow? I can literally, actually, last night we did car sharing. We drove home from the center of Moscow, about 40 minutes to get home. I'm about 40 minutes by car with no traffic to Red Square, which is crazy to think. And I could make amounts of videos, and I'm just not. It's kind of crazy that my wife tells me, you're staying home too much, you're on the computer too much, you're doing your YouTube too much. And I should be out filming travel videos more and things like that. But my passion is really the cruise channel and this channel that we're on now. But it's tough to kind of keep the channel as good as it has been when I'm not on the ship physically, So, oh, there's fireworks outside. Oh, I wish the camera would be. Oh, somebody. Oh, there's a little bit of a flash. Oh, it's a shame we can't move the camera around. In Russia, it's very interesting. Just quickly, fireworks you can buy legally, but it's illegal to use them or shoot them off, I guess. But tonight was a bit of a one-off on the 5th of January, but especially for New Year's Eve, it's like free fireworks show from our balcony. We look over the small town where we live here, and you can see everybody's fireworks going off. So I need to go for work, 10 minutes work meeting. Okay, no worries. I might head off soon myself. Actually, we're at 90 minutes for the video. Thanks, everybody. Galvin, Vizio, Judy, whoever's still here. There's 4 people in the chat. Thanks for the thumbs up. I might head off myself. Vizio, if you want, maybe you could send me what do you call this? Email. We could maybe, if you want to somehow maybe do a collaboration with a video or a live stream with each other. I could definitely join in via StreamYard or whatever program you might use. And we could figure out something to go on each other's channel and get more people, more viewers. I don't mind live streaming to one person, as long as it's given help to somebody, especially where someone has asked questions. I think it's been helpful, and maybe you'll watch it back later on if anyone's watching later after this. All right, everybody, I am going to say goodbye. Judy says thank you. Galvan. You need to change your little icon. You've got like a G there. Maybe you can put like a new picture. I don't know. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching I Like Cruise Ships, the YouTube channel. Thanks for the cruise chat. I will update the description and the thumbnail for this video. So you might be seeing a little bit of a different version of it once it goes live. I'm going to have to figure out where my screen is over here. Here it is. Oops, let's close that one. Thanks everybody. We're down to 2 last viewers and 11 thumbs up. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on another live stream soon. Thanks everybody. Bye. Bye.